Well, in the end, the Gunners march on with a 3-2 win in this one. Let's have a look at the Premier League standings, because as I said, it's painting a pretty picture for Arsenal right now. 6 points clear at the top. Aston Villa, who also got a win today, they're in second, only just as Manchester City are getting ready to play Chelsea, who are in fifth on Sunday. Well, speaking of Manchester City, we have a former Manchester City man himself. Our Nedum Onuoha is joining us with a very sly smile, but we're not going to talk about Manchester City against Chelsea just yet. Nedum, your thoughts on what was another significant win for Arsenal?
Yeah, I think it ended up feeling quite significant based on that goal from Krupa Jr. Like, that was a great finish. But I thought from the way the game started, Arsenal were the team that felt like they were in control. And then we saw that mistake from Gabriel. We don't see that ever. I think Shaka's right in thinking, why is he trying to play that pass? Why is he trying to do it first time? I don't think Evan Nielsen could believe his luck. He's not even pressing. He's just standing literally on the edge of the box. And here, please go. Please tap this into an open net. But like I say, I think Arsenal, for the most part, they look like they would the side who are top of the league. I think they controlled certain elements of the game. And then Bournemouth had some belief. But I think if you look at this game, in reality, you'd want it for Arsenal to be a lot easier, in my opinion. Because we're talking about a Bournemouth side who haven't won a game since October. So for as good as a game as it ended up being, and it felt like Bournemouth could maybe steal another goal, I think for Arsenal, looking at some of the mistakes that they made, I think they need to try and eradicate them from the games coming forward, because, as we know, these next few months are so crucial if you want to win a Premier League title.
After what was such a statement win over Aston Villa, Ale, Arsenal are coming along nicely.
Yeah, so for some people that are obsessed with looking for reasons as to why Arsenal is not going to do this.
So us.
I'm not pointing the finger. I'm not pointing the finger. I'm just saying there are some out there that, again, are obsessed with, like, well, they haven't done it in so long. This team hasn't been there before. And apparently you can't do it if you haven't been there before. Look, when Evan Nielsen scores that goal, and in the manner in which the goal came about, if indeed you were inclined to believe that Arsenal were somehow going to give this league away, this would have been the sort of moment that you would point back and say, see, that Gabriel mistake, and a weaker version of Arsenal from the past perhaps would have been vulnerable enough to where it would have made a difference. And it didn't in this game. 3-2 makes it look closer than this game really was, and credit to Krupi and that goal. What a great goal it was, and then certainly it's something to be highlighted. But in terms of the whole of the game, the totality of the game, Arsenal being down 1-0 still felt like they were going to go and win the game. And certainly when 4 minutes later Gabriel is scoring a goal and it's now 1-1, you're thinking, well, it's only a matter of time before they score a second, and they did. And it's only a matter of time before they score a third, and they did. The surprising part was that they allowed Bournemouth to get back into this match. And maybe that's something that you can point the finger and says that they have to improve upon that. But that's nitpicking. You went into Bournemouth and actually got the result, got the 3 points, and you seem to be closing out this cycle of games that have been coming quick and fast. And here you go. This is the moment they're going to fail against Aston Villa? No, they won't. This is the moment they're going to fail against Bournemouth? No, they won't. So stop looking for reasons as to why this team is going to fail and actually look for reasons as to why this team is going to thrive.
You looking at us when you say that?
No. You seem
pointed
to.
the finger at us.
No. You.
I kind of feel guilty.
No, I said you, and then you took it in.
Yeah, Shaka, but Ale has a point, because it feels like we're still looking for reasons to not definitively say, yes, this is going to be Arsenal now. I'm sure Nedum's covering his ears, but they're really proving us wrong with 2 big statement wins.
To that point, I think Arsenal over the last couple of years has given us reason to question whether they can have 2 good halves of the season, whether they can finish the job off. And we know City, or at least a good version of City, not last season's version of Manchester City, how good they can be in the second half of the season. We're still waiting for Arsenal to prove that to us. Now, in many ways, I thought they stumbled into the Aston Villa game and result. Granted, they were winning, but it felt narrow, it felt a little bit scrappy at times, and then that statement win against Aston Villa. And now, kind of given Bournemouth's current form, the run that they've been on, a 3-2 result maybe feels a little underwhelming, but truth is, I thought Bournemouth were outstanding on the day. I thought they really played well on the day. And in many ways, you saw as good an Arsenal, certainly in their response, as you could hope to see. Not relying on set pieces. I think they've had to endure that criticism. And then you look at Declan Rice popping up with 2 goals, as he just seems to do so wonderfully well. And I thought Odegaard and that pass to Bukayo Saka to set up Declan Rice for his second really was something special. And it speaks to Odegaard, his vision, his ability, and it speaks to this Arsenal when they're at their best. Now, with all that being said, it's still the first week of January. Arsenal are looking back to their best, but it's a long way between now and the end of May. And as I'm sure Nedum would back me up on, City kind of own this part of the season. So it's going to be an interesting few months to come for Arsenal and their fans in particular.
Well, Nedum, if you put back on your Manchester City hat, which I don't know if you ever really take it off, to be honest, and you're looking at this from that Manchester City perspective, as Shaka pointed out, you guys have owned this part of the season. You know exactly that you don't need to panic because it has been done time and time before. So we felt like all the pressure was on Arsenal. But after what we've seen from Arsenal against Villa and today against Bournemouth, are you starting to feel a bit nervous now in terms of being able to chase them down?
I'll be honest, when you say you, that's very, very charitable because I think I had more in common with the Wolves side as opposed to a Man City side. They've won the Premier League in the last few years. So that is very courteous. I think in some ways, City have gone on really long spells of winning games around this time of the year. And I think it's the type of thing that's been needed to win some of those titles because I think on occasion, you're seeing them win the title by maybe 1, 2, 3 points. And it says a lot that, they've had to go on great runs to be able to do that. But usually there is an adversary that can do the same sort of thing. And I think that's what we see with Arsenal now. I think even seeing with Aston Villa, the run that they were on, I think that shows the difficulty of the league itself because they went on that run where I think it was 10 or 11 wins in a row, but they never actually reached the summit. And then very quickly when they played against the team who was up there, you sort of felt the difference as well. So yeah, City, they know that they have to be close to perfect to try and win this league title because ultimately they are chasing. And I think for the amount of points that they need to make up, even if they were to beat Arsenal in a head-to-head, as it stands, it's still not in their hands. But I think, to go on to what Ali was saying, you're looking for reasons to why they can't do it. I don't necessarily think it's that because for me, they have been the most consistent side in the league so far this season. There's no real question about that because you can see in the fact that they've not lost that many games. They play a robust style of football, which sometimes look great, sometimes just looks like it's effective. But the fact is they're top of the league and very deserving of being there. So I think for City and all those teams behind them, you are looking to these games to try and find chinks in the armour. But ultimately, you have to make sure that you do the job that's required. Otherwise, these guys will run away with it.
Well, Nedum, Mikel Arteta spoke about how Declan Rice was struggling with a knee injury in the last couple of days, but he pushed himself to make it for this game. And then we see the kind of performance he puts in today. Just how many midfielders in the world are you going to be taking at this point over Declan Rice?
It's a good question. I think there's probably a couple in Paris that aren't too bad.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Yeah, to name but a few. But it's good to see Rice having that sort of impact and getting a brace in the Premier League game is, credit to him. I think it's the first time in his career doing so. And they needed those goals. And I like the fact that he's found himself in those right areas to be able to, to receive those cutbacks, but still have good finishes as well. So yeah, Declan Rice, more power to him. And I think more power to this Arsenal side as you look at the bench that they had and not to sort of make it, not as a downer as such, but, this is 4 league games in a row, for example, where they haven't called on Eberechi Eze, the £60 million signing who, is potentially going to take them to that next level. So the depth that they have means you can have England internationals like that, not even being in part of the mix and still win these games in the way that they've been doing. So great to have Declan Rice there and, great to have the bench that he currently has.
Yeah, and I mean, the depth of Arsenal, Shaka, we're seeing it pay off.
Yeah, first of all, because I have to mention Pedri.
Well, I mean, Pedri's in a bracket and conversation in and of itself that Ali and I wouldn't dare
can't have Ali
on
set here and not mention Pedri.
Pedri's up here, and then there's almost everyone.
That aside,
Ali, I apologize.
That was very accurate, Shaq.
Yeah, Ali, I apologize.
But to your question, Alexis, given who Arsenal have to come in midweek in Liverpool, you feel that's why Arteta made the changes that he did to start. Makes the changes, and as I said, I thought you saw a very good version of Arsenal against a very good version of Bournemouth. But you look at Arsenal's bench and who they're able to call on off the bench, whether it's Shaka, Martinelli, and players to come back. There are difference makers that Arteta can call on in terms of depth. And again, you put Shaka on the bench and you look at the impact that Madueke has from the start. I'm not sure that Madueke will start against Liverpool on Thursday or whatever day it was. Thursday, I'm pretty sure it is. Thursday.
It's all a blur. We just came off of the festive season.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on this week. I'm pretty sure that game is Thursday. Madueke won't start. But it speaks to how Arteta can now rotate his squad without there being any real drop-off. You talk about Declan Rice, who started right back against Aston Villa. You know, so there is this quality that is running through the squad now that I'm not sure how Arteta manages this well continuing on. Does Madueke kind of accept his role as a bit part player? Those are the things that will test Arteta's man management skills.
But that's when it helps to have a guy like Declan Rice, that you don't have to worry about him. I get the same feeling about Declan Rice that I get about Fede Valverde for Real Madrid. If you're a manager, you don't worry about Declan Rice. Just like you don't worry about Fede Valverde. You know that they're going to give you performances, and consistently so. You're not concerned as to whether this guy is going to show up or this guy is actually going to perform. He's the least of your concerns. You know you put him out there and you're going to get a performance at a high level, consistently so. So then that's one less decision, one less thing that if you're Mikel Arteta you have to handle or worry about or concern yourself with. You know this guy is taken care of, and then that gives you some freedom to say, well, do I play this guy or do I play that guy? Again, don't worry about him because you know that Declan Rice is going to show up for you.